It's like a power. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. To kick off our afternoon session, we've got a couple of guest speakers. These are always, as an Oracle guy, these are always my favorite sessions because it's new material, and we're always happy to have customers who are willing to get up and speak and share their stories, not only with all of you, but with us as well. I want to quickly introduce this gentleman to my right. We've got Rob Owen and Isaac Nieder from Mondelez. They're going to talk a little bit about their recent implementation of OTM Cloud. And then following Rob and Isaac, we've got Coca-Cola. Ramesh Kara will be speaking about Coca-Cola's implementation, their migration from on-premise OTM to the cloud, which is these gentlemen are going to speak about as well. So with that, I'll step out of the way and turn it over to Rob.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks. And I guess it's kind of nap time. I keep finding about the cab and the steak and everything is, I know Paraga's in the room. The food is fantastic, right? Don't you think? I mean, the food is always really great. So, and also, we know the audience, so we really tried to put together a presentation about how we got to the cloud. The good, the bad, the ugly, what we struggled with, what didn't work well, what did work well, and hopefully have kind of an interactive session. And while I was also here, there's some folks, some Oracle folks, I don't see Rob Schaefer, but Rob's team, Elizabeth's team, Jim's team, all these folks that really rallied with us, could not have done it without Oracle. Also, Chris asked me, last year we were on our way to the cloud. We went live in January. He says, Rob, why don't you come to the cab? You're on your way. And I'm like, I'm Lebanese. There's no way. He's too superstitious. There's no way I'm going to talk about making it to the cloud without us getting there. But here we are, a year later. We're safely ensconced in the cloud, and Isaac and I are going to kind of go ahead and take you through from a high level all the way down. And the folks from Coke, we will finish in a half hour, I promise. Okay, so Isaac's going to kind of start out with where we were. We did a KPI, an FTI presentation earlier on. I will admit we pinched a couple of slides here, make things go a little bit easier, but most of it is nice and fresh. I'm going to take us through where did we want and where did we need to go, and then how did we get there. So I'm going to still keep going with how did we get there, but then I'm going to hand it off to Isaac, who's going to talk about some of the headaches that we encountered and how we kind of got through them. And we did get through them. And then I'm also going to go ahead and kind of talk about how's it going, 6 months in. And there's a few things we're working on that I'm absolutely taking advantage of this audience here. It's like a few things we're trying to figure out. Hopefully some people here in the audience are also trying to figure them out. Maybe you can help us. But delighted to be here. Great to be here with this small group of OTM people. And again, thanks to Oracle for everything. And with that, I'll hand it off to my colleague, Isaac. Oh, there you go.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. So this is a slide I start off on. And it's old news to anybody who didn't attend Coke's presentation because we had presentations at the same time. So everybody that did, this is new to you. We are Mondelez. We're a snacking company. Everybody asks what's Mondelez, and I just say we're Oreo, and they're like, oh, I love Oreos. But we're kind of more than that, a little bit more than that. We are also Cadbury. So our headquarters is in Deerfield, Illinois. $26 billion revenue, 80,000 employees, 150 different countries, and we're this huge producer of, factory-produced food, and all over the country, all over the world. In 2000, Nabisco and Kraft merged together, so we used to be Kraft Nabisco, even bigger producer of mass-produced food. In 2010, Cadbury, we bought Cadbury, and then in 2012, everything split, and we got all the snacks, and Kraft took all the stuff that goes to the grocery way. We're trying to make ourselves look a little better by buying up these little companies like Tate's Bake Shop. Instead of a huge factory, it's a little factory that the stuff's coming out of. We're trying to give people different things to eat during the course of the day, besides just snacks like breakfast food, like Belvita. Enjoy Life is like healthy stuff, healthy-ish stuff. And that's what Mondelez is. It's a word that they made up called, from two Latin words, delicious world. And there you go. Our OTM journey. Kraft was a really early adopter of OTM in 2005. They bought it basically to pay for the freight, to use it for freight pay purposes. And that's what all of the original programming for our old OTM system, we're gonna call it old OTM, that's what it was all built on, just getting a message to match an invoice to so you could pay the bills. And we've just grown from there over the years, but the really beginning DNA sequence has all evolved from just a freight pay operation. In 2008, we started planning. 2009, doc scheduling and carrier portal. 2010, Canada, and then FDI, Brazil, and inbound freight all came in 2011, right before the split happened in 2012. When the split happened, we kind of just copied and pasted Kraft's OTM into new servers, and we were stuck with that as Mondelez, even a domain that was named Kraft Domain, until we upgraded. So Mondelez didn't really have any appetite to do anything to move us from 628 forward. We did little projects, little scams to save money here and there, but no upgrades, and we were out of support. On January 14th of this year, we made the big leap, all the way to 643 SaaS with 5 countries: US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. And we still have our jobs, so that's good. What we're doing in North America, where Rob and I are basically the OTM team, just he and I. We're doing truckload, LTL, intermodal, rail. We're shipping ocean containers from one of the world's largest bakeries in Mexico up to Newark. 50% of all of our loads are truckload. We're picking up at places like Tate & Lyle and West Rock. Those guys are going into our OTM, and they're releasing order bases through the ready ship process. We're shipping all kinds of inbound raw pack into our bakeries and production facilities. We're shipping outbound to customers, and we're shipping outbound to ourselves quite a lot. 750 shipments a day we plan. We plan all those out of Wilkes-Barre, PA. And out of Wilkes-Barre, PA, we're doing all the planning, the rates, tariff management, customer service. We have a huge customer service role, reporting roles, and freight pay roles. All those people are based out of Wilkes-Barre. Our network, real quick, 8 distribution centers. We're picking up the raw and pack stuff from 500 different supplier locations, 130 different external manufacturers. We can't make all of our own stuff. We have to kind of farm some of it out, right? We ship into 8 different distribution centers. From there, they go to customers, or they go to our own distribution network internally. We have a DSD network. We have the 17th largest fleet in North America, but we're not using any of Al's cool stuff with it. We're just they're using some other system. So hopefully, maybe down the line, we can use some of that fleet stuff. We're crossing the border a lot with Mexico and Canada, and throughout the year, a lot of outside storage locations pop up, cross docks. We get a new repacker, so there's always change in our pretty vast network. In OTM, like I said, we're doing the planning, rates, we're doing all the freight pay, dock scheduling. We have a 2-way integration with 4Kites. We're getting all those pings back in. We don't have any of Al's cool colors yet, but we're getting them all in. We're using a visibility workbench inside OTM to look at that, and also we can link right out to 4Kites. Carrier portal, ServProd portal has FTI carrier scorecard, and also all the freight pay stuff, and of course, they can accept tenders and all that. Really tricked out version of FTI. And if you were listening to Coke's presentation, you really missed out on a good presentation about that. And 1,300 users totally in North America, or total in our domain. We have 300 users in Latin America and Brazil. We have about 400 supplier users. We have about 300 carrier users. We have about 300 Mondelez people. So take care of like 1,000 people that have real-time access. And we have 3 domains. We have Dev, Cloud, and Test. Test is what we get our upgrades into, right? And Dev is what we do all of our FTI stuff in. And these domains we have, MO1 is what we call our domain instead of Mondelez or Kraft or something silly. And MO2 is what the Europeans are using. They just went live this last weekend with one little country. So we're playing on MO1, MO2, MO3 as we go throughout the world. And I think it's wrong.
So what's one of the interesting things is Isaac mentioned the domain name Kraft. That's something we will never do again. You cannot change that domain name. I mean, it is there. So you can imagine the company split. We're sending out notifications and stuff. It's Kraft, KRFT everywhere. They don't have to dealing with Mondelez or Kraft. So it's now 3-character acronyms, nice and simple. All right. So again, let's get into some of the gory details. So I landed in the job in 2014 at 2 weeks' notice. It's yours. This platform is broken. It's crazy. Good luck. And don't miss a case. So a couple of slides to take you through. The realization. We were on 628. It was out of support. Our database was out of support. We had 3 incidents. Okay, very quickly, system went down on Thursday, couldn't bring it up Thursday, couldn't bring it up Friday, couldn't bring it up Saturday, couldn't bring it up Sunday. Somebody from West Rock, Sunday night, logged on. Very diligent employee. Sunday night working. The log caught what they did. We were able to fix it. We were in business Monday morning.
To be clear, West Rock didn't break it.
No. But nobody in the company knew. We're flying into a mountain and nobody in the company. We're not shipping product. We're not shipping anything. Inbound, outbound, so 2 guys. Not healthy. We started running into certification issues. We wanted to get stuff up with the cloud. We couldn't because they were not compatible with the older version of OTM. Our server array, forget it. I did not want to deal with 42 aging servers, memory cards going out, blah, blah, blah. OTM was shaky, business continuity became to get an issue. There was significant risk. Oracle very reasonably said to us, you're not listening, you're not upgrading, you're on your own. I mean, if things go bad, there's only so much we're going to be able to do. And somebody in the company gave me a very, very, very good piece of advice. They said, stop talking shipments. You're just talking shipments to the leadership. Revenue. Lost revenue. If this thing goes down, this is the lost revenue. Things started to pick up, we got the money, we scared them, up to the cloud. Okay, what did we want? We wanted a fresh start. Isaac and I were well aware of the warts. We knew the problems, we knew the warts, we knew we had a small enough team to make some of this go, and we knew if we got a good SI, we were going to have a pretty good shot. We also wanted to have a brand new FTI system. And also, I should probably say up front, if I neglect to say it before, not a lift and shift, not an upgrade. A absolute complete re-implementation of that 2005 to 2000, whatever it was. Complete re-implementation, leave all the data behind, and brand new up into the cloud. We start fresh. We needed strong levers. We're trying to be competitive in an extremely competitive market. We've got about $500 million spend. We needed to drive it down. We really needed to simplify our transportation operation. As everyone in here knows, if you're going to do this with a small footprint, it's got to be simple. We wanted a minimal IT footprint. Okay? I did not want to deal with servers. I wanted to make sure that TMS stays in support, and we had no choice. We were going to have a small, nimble team. So we basically, so OTM is OTM, which is great, right? It's OTM is good old Yankee software. I love the stuff. Oracle is really good. It's a big box of nuts and bolts. You gotta configure it, but it's solid software. The G-Log people that architected that thing way in the beginning, my hat's off to them. We wanted to go from this. Anybody know what flight deck that is? Any flight buffs? Europeans? That's Concorde. We wanted to go from that to that, basically. And what were our leaders saying? They're saying, that's fine, but don't miss a case. Don't miss a case. They told us readiness leads, which was good to hear. Not that if you guys say you're going live on October 31st, you're going live on October 31st. We learned our lesson. So they were saying if we're not ready, we're not ready. We'll take the hit. Isaac's going to talk about this. He's a little PTSD with the testing. We're going to test. We're going to test some more. We're going to communicate candidly, and we're going to have a backup plan. So as long as we're screaming down that runway and we can still stop, we're going to stop. But once we hit V2, we got to go. We got to go, but we are going to have a backup plan. Okay, so how did we get there? I'm going to take this a little bit in, and then I'm going to hand it off to Isaac.
So Ron,
Yes.
what was the other plane?
Pardon me?
The fancy plane, what is that?
Oh, it's a 787. Well, it's good looking, but. So we had two distinct options, and what was great was the SIs we were talking to were presenting two divergent ways to go. There was no consistency of this is the way to do it, which is kind of the perfect position for us to be. Okay, one SI was saying you want to do it in two small steps. That's too risky. You want to upgrade on premise, get everything ready, and then you want to lift the whole thing up into the cloud. Other SI was saying no, we're gonna really go for this. You've got 5 countries, all of North America, all of Latin America, one instance, everyone's upgrading and stuff at the same time. Everyone's got to go at the same time. We're just going to do it, and we're just going to do it really well. It's also going to be cheaper. It's going to be quicker, but it's going to have some challenges associated with it. So we got the buy-in for that, and that was indeed the way we're going. And again, not a lift and shift. And what did we have? We had a few things. We were lacking a whole bunch of stuff, but we had a few things. So we had a proven business team that knew OTM, all right? And you had a kid that doesn't sleep, all right? We had a really, really, really strong, indefatigable project manager, just force of nature. It was a business-led project. The business led this project. The business had the passion about the project. The business knew what was broken, what they wanted to change, and what they wanted to do. And that's contrasted with other very similar projects that are going on within the same corporation that are being led by ITS. And you can kind of see the differences. There are pros and cons to each, but I'm a big advocate of a business-led initiative, particularly with projects like OTM. We went on a very lengthy SI search. To distill it down, what was happening in Mondelez, we had made very aggressive partnerships with big companies, one beginning with an A, huge. Anyone in airports, there's a sign saying, we've saved Mondelez $1 billion, okay? This is how, one of the ways they did. So we were insistent that OTM is a different animal. There was a major fight. It was just not going to happen. This is the way it's going to be done. We kind of won that. We worked with Inspirage. We brought them in. They were SEAL Team 6. They had a very strong project manager, a technical and a functional lead. We had FTI training, layout people. That PM, RPM, was good. And the last one is interesting. You can take that A or B. We had a bunch of leaders that really had other things to do, okay? It is not often where two guys with a lot of toys in an NFL environment, right? It's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of freight, can kind of do what they want to do, you know, which comes and goes. There's little windows of that happen in your career. So that happened. So that really helped the project. And I thought it would be helpful to kind of pass it on. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Isaac here because this is where we're going to kind of talk about a little bit of the technical stuff and not deep, but just some things you might want to look at and, you know, what kind of caused us problems. So this obviously isn't our gigantic landscape, but it gives a flavor that we're an SAP shop. So SAP TM was pushing hard. They were pushing hard, and it was a while there where they were going to go, but it shows you the strength, because we are an SAP shop, so to keep OTM as incumbent and keep that going was really quite a testament. So EWM is not LogWire, but that's our, all this beautiful stuff you're showing is going to work with EWM. So EWM, SAP, APO is our planning. We've got a big B2B infrastructure, 4 kites, PC Miler. We work with Rateware and also Breakthrough Fuel. But we also had this. This was our customization. We thought this customization was a bass. It turned out to be a whale. It turned out to be a whale, and Isaac's gonna take you through how we kind of made our way through that.
Yeah, so these interfaces, a little bit of PTSD is probably correct, right? I was putting these slides together and I was like getting angry, and I was like, why am I sitting here at my desk? I'm so pissed off. And it was because I was remembering all these situations, right? I was getting angry at people. So what we wanted to do with the interfaces, there were a lot of them. We had a different order release interface and an order base interface. We had interfaces all over the place, and we wanted to take all this mess and sort of combine it into as few as possible. Master data was kind of driven with craft ideas, craft leading zeros. We wanted to get rid of leading zeros. We wanted to change the way that our locations were numbered. We wanted to align with the business with a lot of that stuff. And we really wanted to put tiny little Easter eggs in the interfaces for ourselves to discover later in FTI to build this great reporting tool. And that's pretty much as far as we got. We had these like great ideas of stuff we wanted to do, and we're like, all right, let's start doing them, right? But we started to do discovery with Inspirage, and we're looking at the documentation that we had, and some of it kind of made sense, but there was things happening that they kept saying, wait, how are you doing this? Like, how do you get this? And we said, oh, it comes from SAP. It's coming in. It comes to OTM like that. And they're like, oh, well, there's something missing, right? So we had some documentation gaps. The project was split up between 3 different SIs. Like, every one of these companies got a little piece of the action, right? And because we had these existing relationships with like a big company that starts with an A, they got some of the job, and some of the job happened to be programming these interfaces, being the guy that types it in or drags and drops, or what they thought was going to be a copy over from the old system into the new system. And the old system was upgrading to a new system halfway through our project. They were getting this SAP PO interface software, process or orchestration or some crap like that. And that was like big for them, right? Because they thought they could just take everything out and they would just put it in and it would be fine. And then during this whole time, they were upgrading SAP. They were doing EHP8, Enhanced Service Pack, or something like that. So all of the SAP people in the whole company, any of them that were worth anything, they were working on that project, and they were really hard to get on our team. The people that we did get on our team, well, one of them, halfway through the project, we didn't have Latin America the whole time. Latin America came like 3 months later into our project, and that's 2 other countries. And they said, okay, yeah, we'll come too. So our SAP resource, he spoke Spanish. So of course, as soon as they went, we need to get caught up, out he went. He went to Latin America. So we didn't have that person to sort of pull the maps out of SAP and look at them and see what's missing. But the maps we did get, they looked like this, right? SAP sent in something to XI, and then XI is maybe doing a little bit of something, maybe changing some numbers, maybe renaming a field or something, and then it goes to OTM. And it looks good, right? We had something for every interface we could get started. But this happened. We call it Java integration, right? And what happened was we discovered we had to decode Java int. Somebody had to decode Java int. There was nobody on the project that was pre-earmarked to be the person who decode every single line of every interface to see it goes out of SAP, it goes into XI, and then it goes through this Java layer before it gets to OTM. Nobody was there to write all of this stuff out, and it was a lot of stuff. We discovered that a lot of it was JDBC calls, looking into OTM, things like, does this location exist? Have they were shipped here before? Do I have a number for it? No? Okay, then I'll create one on the fly. If so, I'll use that location. All kinds of little tiny logic, like lookup things that we didn't really run. We didn't design this thing in 2005, like we came later. So we didn't know that this was happening. We just thought magically coming to OTM, right? But you learn as you do this project that OTM only works if it has a perfectly designed and laid out XML. Otherwise, something comes in and it errors out. So that's how our interface build kind of went, like trial and error. They would fix something and they would say, all right, it's done, try it. And we'd send out another order and it would error out in OTM. And we'd say, oh, well, this is a problem now. And then they'd take a day and they'd go back and they'd fix something else. And then it would error out. And since they were like on the opposite schedule, they were in India and we were in the United States, it was always like right before bed, you'd tell these guys that this is what I want you to do tomorrow when you wake up. And then we'd go to bed and they'd kind of fix something maybe. And we'd come back and try it the next day and we just lost time. We lost time. And it was traumatic, right? And this whole time, we have other jobs. Like, I got pulled 100% to build interfaces when I was supposed to be change manager. I was supposed to be putting together training documents. I was supposed to be designing all these roles and the layouts and the actions and all this stuff. It just got behind because somebody had to say, what are we doing in OTM that affects SAP? And what's it supposed to do with the stuff that we're building? And that by default, that was me. Like, we didn't have anybody else. We couldn't hire anybody else. And everybody else for SAP was busy. So we just got behind. So we were building interfaces through test cycle 1, test cycle 2, UAT, Christmas Eve, hypercare. We went live. We were still fixing interface stuff. We were fixing interfaces until March 2nd. We went live in January. So this is big.
So though a previous company had done all these previous interfaces, you've redone them all, and how are you not going to get in that same situation 5 years down the road? With your staffing remaining knowledge, it seems to be cleaned up what was out there.
Yeah, so
right?
we had to
From
find
2005.
we had to find a home for all this stuff. So some of it we were able to do in OTM. Some of it we had to put into that SAP PO. But it was new to everybody, and it was like you buy a new pickup truck. The first day you get it, are you going to get a load of gravel in the back? No, they want to like keep it nice and keep it clean. But all of that logic they had to eventually agree to put into SAP PO. So it's all documented now. It's all there. But as far as staffing and stuff like that goes, like, do we learn anything from that?
So you
I don't know.
eliminated Java customization at the end, like this is gone and it is replaced either in OTM or SAP.
Yeah, well, very little changes in SAP. They were upgrading. They didn't want to do anything in SAP. So any transformation, we had to get really smart about. So that's why it took so long. Every line we had to think, is this something that we can do in OTM, like a table, or is it something that we have to really intelligently program in this SAP PO system because we have to make an XML that OTM can process.
Or you really need it, right?
Hmm?
Sometimes it could be a legacy.
Well, yeah, and somebody had to say, this is legacy, we don't need this, we don't need to be looking up DiGiorno pizza because we don't have that anymore, that was a crap thing. But the guys that were doing the interfaces could never make those decisions on their own. They needed somebody to say, this is okay, we need to leave it, you're using it for this, or this is just junk, can we get rid of it? But when we started off, it was just copy and paste. It was bad.
It's a question for you.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned was, as an issue, was locations created on the fly.
Yeah.
So what did you do with those?
We're creating new location every time. Every time there's a dropship location, I have stories about that, we're running out of time, but, we ended up, we didn't know that that thing existed either. We didn't realize what they were using it for, so we just got rid of that logic. And then we went live and we realized that every sample order was going to the same guys. The same guy named Kenny Bird, he's like famous now, because he got like 100 shipments of everybody else's sample orders. His location ID was just the first one that created. But they were just using that same ID and they're changing the address on it. But OTM said, hey, this is the location ID, it's shipped to Kenny Bird every time. Alright, we're running out of time. So anyway, we developed 58 test scenarios, Rob and I. It took us like 20 hours or something of our spare time to come up with this testing rubric of how do we fit every single business process that everybody else has that affects us into as few test scenarios as possible. 26 end-to-end, we were including carriers because B2B also had to be remapped. Java Int was taking the outbound tender XML and wrapping it up real nice and preparing it to B2B too. So those guys had to remap everything. Those guys had to redo everything, and they didn't want to look at the EDI spec and say, well, this has to be mapped like this has to be mapped like this. They wanted to do the same thing, like, send me what you got, we'll fix it up. And that process is just, you gotta watch out for people that they wanna just get junk and make it a little bit better all the time, because that's how these projects seem to happen in monthlies. Right, we put all those test scenarios together. We wanted to performance test the cloud. We wanted to really dump a ton of orders into OTM Cloud, but Mondelez couldn't do that. There's no way to give a whole bunch of different orders. We were saving them up from production and dumping them in, but nothing like real volume. So that was kind of like a little bit of risk that we just had to bite the bullet and say, like, cloud's supposed to work, right?
You have a, like, a loader and a, what do you mean by tool service detector?
Hmm?
It's like a bullet point, it says tools were limited.
Yeah, so the SAP PO system, they could send us 1 million of the same order, but they couldn't send us 1 million different orders, like random orders, to see how they would process coming in. So we couldn't really replicate a whole day's worth of volume in the way that it would come in production. There was no way. And our SAP people said, well, Oracle should help you with this. And Oracle said, well, we don't help with this stuff. It's gotta come, it's your data. So this is like a back and forth sort of situation we had. And like, it was the disagreement about ownership, like who's responsible for testing this. We load tested like users in there and clicking around. We had UAT where we gave access to everybody in test, and we said go into test and try to work for an hour. And we had hundreds and hundreds of users in there, and everything was fine. Like, try to break it, try to do something you shouldn't be able to do. That stuff was fine, but we really had problems when it came to like staging, because Java Int was also looking at inbound orders and saying, is this the most recent order that I have? It would peek into OTM and say if there's already an order like this in fresh, and if so, like back to reprocess and delete it and take this later order. And we had to replicate that inside OTM. That was a big, big thing. So we made our staging process like 10 minutes long, and it would kind of just wait for the latest message to come, timestamps from IDOCS. And that kind of broke a little bit too right when it went live. So we had tables building up, we had to come up with a purge procedure, but that was our big issue, and Oracle swarmed us with people and processes, and everybody we needed to talk to were on the phone to help us get through this process we had of, we don't have middleware. We had middleware that was Java that we couldn't use anymore, and we didn't really replace it the right way. We kind of tried to just get rid of Java and use what we could in the cloud. And Mondelez kind of took a hard time swallowing that pill that you guys are doing this different than anybody else that Oracle has ever seen. But, you know, it ended up really well. Everybody came together and worked, and we're stable, and we really didn't miss a case, we didn't miss a shipment. We might have paid a couple extra truck order IUs, and we might have been a little bit messy at sites, but we didn't have business disruption going to cloud just because we had the best support we could from our system integrator and from the Oracle guys.
So Chris, you have 2 more minutes? Or? Good, okay.
So you started fresh transactions into the cloud, or you migrated last 6 months of transactional activity into the cloud?
No, fresh.
You started fresh.
Brand new.
So we had new interfaces built, we had to turn off the old ones. We had to say, SAP do not send to old OTM, you're now sending to new OTM, and this is the road to new OTM. So we started fresh.
So a load that was booked last Wednesday that's en route 5 days transit, and you cut over on Friday night.
Yeah, we shipped everything off, and if it was tendered in old OTM, you take it with that old BOL number, and we'll pay you out of old OTM.
Okay.
And everything that's tendered after we go live, it's shipped and delivered and paid out of new OTM. Yeah.
What's the feedback from your carriers on your go live?
Carriers love us. Yeah. No, actually, they were pretty impressed with how everything went. You know, they had a couple of light days, but we communicated over and over and over again. We delayed for 3 months so that we could do this the right way without rushing. And that's probably another half-hour story about everything we had to change when we said, we're not going live on Halloween, we're going live halfway through January, we have to redo everything that we thought we were gonna do, and we're not gonna have enough time to do. It was tough, it was really tough, but we had enough time to get the word out and get everybody course changed so that we could do January 14th the right way.
So how many months you had both systems running, your cloud and your?
Old OTM is still running.
Oh.
Yeah, we're still trying to pay those bills.
Yeah, so invoices are still coming in on the old OTM. September 30th, like how we begin to shut it down.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
Well, it's coming up a little bit. Oh, well.
I don't know.
The interfaces, for sure. Yeah, interfaces and testing.
We
Hire someone for that, hire someone for that.
testing was rough, but they wanted the business to test, so we tested, and we made sure that everything was covered at the end.
We worked in East Hanover, New Jersey. We went live in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. We all gathered on site right at the beginning of the year in January. It was an army. So it was impressive. It was the way it should be done. An army descended in Wilkes-Barre. All of the Oracle assets were there. We had a tremendous amount of support, and that just, it engendered a lot of confidence, right? And for a team like this to go in confident and you feel like you've got people on your flank and you've got that support, it really helps. Okay, how's it going? Okay, speak really candid. This is the first thing, it's coming, right? This is the biggest change. You've got 3 updates coming, you've got 2 weeks, only 2 in 2020, which is nice to hear, but they are coming, ready or not. And what we decided to do, it was a big decision. Again, we've said a couple of times, our team is the size of an acorn, really not much, and it really seemed smart to just kind of farm it out. So we have a dedicated resource farmed out that concentrates on this.
So outsourcing that topic, did you document the heck out of it so you're in the situation that's better in the future?
The heck out of it.
Good.
Checklists all the way, and then as we go, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. First one went very smooth. See, we've got in September. So far so good. So far so good. I think the terrifying update is going to be the one you read. That's all OTM, right? Because there's a lot of GTMs that are going to go, oh no, oh my God, that's all us. But it's a great way to do it. I mean, it's very smart, right? So we're aligned, and we're all set up with RPA, and the RPA is working really nicely in this space. So anybody who's looking at that and wants to talk to us, it's working nicely. Down the road, and this is only another minute, and this is just a blatant solicitation for help. Some of the things we're working on. So one of the things we don't really do very well is we don't combine our freight streams. You know, it's hard to explain outside of this group, but you guys might know what we're talking about. It's hard to ship sales orders with stock transfer orders or inbounds, and it's bad. Because you can save money. You can save money, so we really want to get here. So this is our phase 2, but the next thing we want to do, we realize we're not doing this well. We're filling trucks. But we want OTM, we don't want to fill the truck. We want to use our stuff to say, don't push it. This stuff is in play. You've got to you're prioritizing that part of the truck. But this part is in play. What can we do to maybe take a LTL truck off the road, maybe make a multi-stop, and U.S. infrastructure, multi-stops are a pain, but this is what we're looking at. And this is where we need to go. And lastly, again, to Al's presentation, plays right into it. Our data emphasis is both. OTM is shackled. Not only it infuriates me that they're telling me when to ship it. I mean, tell me when to deliver it. Stop telling me when to ship it. You give me so much more flexibility if I can just move that data around. Very hard within a gigantic multinational corporation. So we're also trying to do this. Last slide. We're also trying to figure out, we have a very traditional scheme where we have an item, the item is temperature controlled, it's a reefer item, it's a dry item, depending on what items you have in the truck. That kind of drives the equipment. But our quality team is beginning to say, okay, well, we're willing to kind of loosen our grip on that. And if you're shipping from Pennsylvania up to Michigan in November, we might be willing to say you can put it's Oreo cookies, it's not something that's going to go bad, it just might affect the quality. Not only Oreo cookies, but. So we're looking at that. How can we make that decision based on time, lane, and stuff, and drive better decisions there? And also using RPA. Freight pay is lousy. I mean, it's just kind of something you have to do. But I'm convinced this is something, particularly with a little RPA, that OTM can really, 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 really do well. I don't want to go to Cass, I don't want to go to a logistics bank. I want to bring it in, let OTM do it, and do it right. And there's our pretty truck. So that's all we have.
One more question.
Yeah. Yes.
Why isn't logistics network modeling on your next steps?
Pardon me?
Why isn't logistics network modeling on your next steps?
I'll tell you why. Because it is. Because we love it, and I'm a modeler, and it makes perfect sense. We've got 2 modeling teams within the company, and they use their own esoteric software and stuff. So I'm trying to get them to see the leverage in how quickly you can turn around a transportation analysis, and so much of the stuff is driven by trans. So that's high on our list, but we're trying to influence people.
One last question.
Yes.
Direct SQL procedures in your agents, do you have any such SQL procedures written, or do you migrate to the cloud? Because we don't have access to the data.
You mean a right?
Yeah, how do you transform them? No custom procedures?
Nope. Not really, nothing crazy like that. We were able to change the way that people work, or change the way that our processes flow to get us out of those situations where it was super easy before for them just to build this stuff along the way, but it was really hard for us to unwind it, but we did.
Thanks, and thanks again, Oracle team, very much.